Guys, I want to welcome you to the Matrix Mastering the Art of Sales webinar. And I want to sincerely congratulate you on making the choice to spend some time with us tonight. We're going to share some principles on sales and wealth and business building, as well as thinking and principles that can impact really all areas of your life. And the reason is so you can really change every aspect of your life that you decide to, right? The main reason I wanted to have this give back webinar is because this information and training in sales has literally changed everything for me and my family. And I've made quantum leap changes in my life, and I've also helped the lives of many other people. So I decided to reach out a little further and share this information with you and give back for all the blessings in my life. And also because my mentors really cared enough to push me to understand how to become a world-class salesperson and really start to master the art of sales. And most importantly, guys, is to share and impact other people's lives, really paying it forward. So as I mentioned, guys, my name is Brian Dalmaso, and in the picture with me is my business coach and sales mentor, Bob Proctor. And for those of you who don't know Bob Proctor, he's probably the world's most foremost expert in sales performance and wealth and business building principles alive today. And we're truly honored and blessed to call him a friend as well as a business mentor. Now, Bob has created probably more millionaires and billionaires across a multitude of industries than any other person living that I know of today. And this webinar is going to really develop your awareness on how to build yourself as a world-class salesperson. Now, when I talk about the profession of sales, it really doesn't matter what field you're in. We're always selling, right? From financial sales or real estate to insurance sales or professional recruiting, even entrepreneurial sales like network marketing, individual business owners, or even high-level corporate sales, right? This webinar will help sharpen your skills and really raise your awareness in the art of sales. So one of my favorite quotes from my mentor, Bob says, "No amount of reading or studying or memorizing will make you successful in sales. It's the understanding and the application," the keyword is application, right, "of wise thought which counts." So guys, let's really think about this. I don't want you to just listen. I really want you to think. How many of you have invested in traditional sales training? Right, some people I know have spent tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars investing in top-level traditional sales training from other seven-figure earners. So what I really want you to pay attention to is this. If traditional sales training was highly effective, you would literally leave the training being able to duplicate the income of the person who taught you the program, right? I mean, really think about this. You know, if we take a math class in school and we pay attention, then we can reproduce the result of solving the math problems, right? But if we take a traditional sales training course, most people come home and they can't duplicate the income achievements of the instructor, right? So really think about that. I mean, we get taught to drive a car as a young adult, and we can drive a car. It's really that simple. But people can take all kinds of courses and seminars from, Grant Cardone or Tai Lopez or even Robert Kiyosaki himself and come home and do absolutely nothing, right? But all of these guys, all of these trainers are multi-million dollar earners. So why don't the results duplicate to their clients and the masses from taking these courses, right? It's a fraction of a percent of people that really operate at a high level coming over to these courses. Now, guys, I want you to get out a notepad and write this down. Here's the first paradigm shifting concept of the webinar that really took me 43 years before I learned it from my mentor. Everything really starts with a dream or a vision, and more importantly, a decision. Right? It never starts with the how. People get stuck in this all the time. Guys, if we knew the how, we probably wouldn't be on this webinar, right? I mean, if you literally knew how to get to 7 figures in sales a year, you'd already be there, right? I mean, that's just a logical statement. If you knew how, you would already be there. So guys, burn this into your brain. Just this one idea alone can change everything. It did for me. You don't need to know how you're going to get to a 7-figure sales position or whatever it is you want to do. You just have to decide what you want and then make a decision to start. And then follow someone who's done it that knows how to teach in paradigms of selling. Does this make sense, guys? Type a 1 in the chat box if this is starting to resonate and make sense on how we get stuck on the how. I'll get a yes, 1,000 yeses, 1,000 ones. Great, awesome, guys. I'm glad this is resonating. All right, so I want you to think about something as we get started. And here's the second note to really take down. 85% of a person's success is dependent on decision-making skills, self-confidence, in self-image, 85%. Yet there are no classes in schools or seminars in any of these categories for the most part. Think about that. Now, this means that only 15% of our success comes from our traditional education in careers or jobs or seminars, right? Which is all the traditional schooling and college teaches us. So guys, is it any wonder why 1% of the population earns 96% of all the money, right? Again, I want you to really think about this stuff because there's only two types of people in the world: those who are entrepreneurs and those who work for entrepreneurs. Think about that one, right? Those who are entrepreneurs and those who work for entrepreneurs. Now, if you're in sales of any kind, then you're an entrepreneur. Even if you're working for a company, you're an entrepreneur, right? You're a commissioned salesperson. You are in control of how much you earn, so that would make you an entrepreneur. Now, before we get going, guys, I want to share with you that most of my life, I knew nothing about the art of sales. Like this is not coming from 40 years of experience or 60 years like Bob. I'm fairly new at this, and I didn't know about the superpower of being very well versed in the art of sales, right? And being one of the top fraction of 1% in sales. It was up until age 43, my life was more of a roller coaster, right? Anyone else feel like that? I've been divorced twice, right? I've made and lost or spent millions, gave up $1 million home, right? These are all things that happen. Now, guys, I'm not complaining or looking for sympathy here. I've actually had an amazing life. I have an amazing friends and family. You know, everybody's healthy. I've actually always considered myself very wealthy, even before I started, earning money in sales, at least in that regard. And I'm absolutely grateful and blessed, but it's been a roller coaster, to say the least, right? Up until I found someone who could really teach me and hold my hand in the sciences of getting wealthy and the art of sales, I wasn't able to really impact things. So guys, type of one in the chat box if you can relate to this roller coaster of a ride of a life we're going through here. Any other roller coasters? Okay, it seems like everybody's on the same coaster that I am, or at least I was, right? All right, so now fast forward to today, right? And guys, this is not about me, but I do want to highlight some things, right? We are literally the top sales consultants in Bob Proctor's company, the Proctor Gallagher Institute, worldwide, right? Out of over 1,200 sales consultants. We're the top recruiter in our network marketing company. We have the fastest growing team. I was able to bring my sales in my construction company from about $1 million to $10 million in 12 months. I'm also the CEO and VP of sales and marketing for our software company. And we literally teach professional selling to entrepreneurs and corporations all over the world. Now, again, guys, this is not about me, but you have to ask yourself, how does all this happen in 4 years? It really has nothing to do with me, right? I don't say any of this to impress you. This isn't about us, but I do want to say this to impress upon you. The right information and mentorship can quantum leap your sales in any industry, right? If I can do it, anybody can do it. My whole career wasn't necessarily in sales. I'm not better than anybody here. I'm not special. I did make a decision, though. That might make me special. I made the decision of what I wanted, and then I committed to investing time to learn the sciences of sales and really the art of sales, and I continue to do so every day. All right, so enough about me, guys. Let's talk about what's in it for you. My real goal here today is to give you some ideas and philosophies in sales that you're going to be able to take with you that will immediately impact your life and your sales performance. Now, again, guys, it's not all about the money. Money is just a reflection of the service that you're providing. It's a magnifier. My intention is to teach you how to increase your sales and your sales effectiveness so you can really live life on your own terms. So you can enjoy things like traveling, being able to retire your spouse or your parents, creating new businesses, and being able to watch your kids grow up, day after day, and being present and involved in their lives. Crafting your own work and play and family schedule. Right? And most importantly, guys, is being able to build wealth so you can give back. In my opinion, and this is just my opinion, there's no higher cause in the world than being able to give back to your fellow human being. And this is the main reason why I'm really doing this webinar here tonight. Now, unfortunately, guys, we're only going to be able to go over a couple of the principles, the sales and wealth building principles here. But if you stick around to the end, I'm going to email you a free report that I wrote that really outlines the 12 principles to increasing your effectiveness in sales and business. And this guide that I wrote contains some very powerful business and life principles. It goes a little deeper and really expands on these topics. And this is something you can study and really burn into your mind, even if you're still employed or working for somebody else. So guys, this is going to be my gift to you, and I really want your life to be impacted by this webinar. Now, we're currently working with people and corporations all over the world teaching and mentoring in sales. But what I've also decided to do as a give back is to really give everybody on this webinar who watches to the end a complimentary strategy session phone call with our team. And we can talk about your sales performance or your situation and goals in particular, and maybe see if we can help get you unstuck. And finally, guys, for those of you that are already in professional sales that might be looking for a change, we're going to give you an opportunity to possibly come work with us at the Matrix Success Network in our growing team of professional international salespeople all over the world. And we've created an environment at the Matrix with no territory limitations. We can literally market to individuals and companies all over the world from anywhere in the world, right? We have no caps on commissions. We have medium to high ticket consulting packages that literally everybody needs from individuals and corporations. So pretty good opportunity there for those who might be interested in that. Now, guys, I do want to be clear. This is not a sales webinar to sell you on anything, right? There's no call to action here to buy something at the end. So I really want you to just lower your walls, relax, open your minds, really take some good notes. All right, does that sound good, guys? All right, so let's go. So what makes this content different, right? The science of selling, the art of sales, right? Guys, what makes this difference is these are proven principles from centuries of study, from the sciences behind how wealthy people sell ideas and services from the most successful people in history. Right, full disclaimer, guys, none of this content is mine. I wish I could claim some of this for my own, but it's not. I've just become a very, very serious student in the art of sales and the sciences behind selling. And this information has been mentored and passed on for generations and generations that you can see here. And again, my goal is really to spark your curiosity in learning and studying your craft, to leave you with the impression of increase and hopefully change the course of your life right from this webinar, just like it did mine. Now, what I'm looking for you to do, guys, if this information resonates with you, is to take the time to share this webinar replay. We're going to send this to you with your colleagues and your network of people that are in sales and really help spread the word about our company and our mission in the Matrix Success Network so we can create a ripple effect of helping people and companies all over the world. So, guys, before we get deeper into the webinar, I want to talk about the history of the content a little bit, the art of sales. These principles that we're going to go over that were taught to me and that I continue to study have been passed down for centuries, you can see, from the wealthiest people in history. Now, the main problem here is these sales principles, as I mentioned, they're not taught in schools or programs or Harvard Business School or any seminars that I've taken. And believe me, I've taken them all. And guys, I'll prove it to you, right? If this information was readily available and taught in schools or seminars, we wouldn't have over 90% of people in sales struggling, right, to get by, to get a paycheck, to make a living, struggling to make 50 or 60,000 a year. And there's nothing wrong with 50 or 60,000 a year, but I'm just highlighting something here, right? If traditional sales and seminars and trainings were so effective, then everybody would be at 7 figures a year, right? So here's a fun-filled fact. Over 95% of the people get to retirement with little or no retirement income after grinding away for 40 plus years in sales. Right? So if 95% of the people in sales are going through traditional schools and colleges, not being able to retire with considerable wealth, then logically it means we're not teaching them the right information in the correct way, right? So guys, take a look at this slide. Imagine if they had a course called Think and Grow Rich or The Science of Selling, right? I mean, I would have taken those. Now, the fact of the matter is that if you desire to achieve anything at a high level and live like the top 1%, you have to get your information from other professional salespeople and mentors who can teach you these principles. And more importantly, guys, ones that have achieved true wealth in sales themselves, right? And this is why I study and continue to get mentored from Bob today. All right, so the history of the science of sales and wealth building, like I said, goes back centuries, but in recent times, Andrew Carnegie really brought them forward and founded the United States Steel Corporation. Right, he sold that corporation for about $480 million, according to my research. And there's that word again, right? Sold, sales, right? Andrew Carnegie was in sales. And even though he was the CEO of the corporation, he was selling. And the United States Steel Corporation, I believe, was the first recorded company in history to hit $1 billion. So Andrew used these sales principles that we're going to go through tonight. Now, the only problem here is, again, right, he was using these principles and he understood them, but he wasn't able to articulate them. And no one was teaching them to other people until Andrew decided to mentor somebody by the name of Napoleon Hill. So Andrew mentored Napoleon and passed these things on to Napoleon at a young age. And most of you probably know that Napoleon Hill wrote the classic book, Think and Grow Rich. And guys, this book literally changed my life, so you might want to get it now. When most people don't know is Napoleon Hill was really a master salesman more than an author. Right? He has several amazing sales books that I continue to study every day, and most people think he was just an author. Now, the fact of the matter is that Napoleon Hill trained over 30,000 salespeople in his career, many who have achieved and broken 7 figures in sales, even as far back as the 50s and 60s. Right? And that was based on these exact principles we're going to talk about here today. And here's the key, right? Napoleon Hill was trained by the best in the world and brought it forward. Now, Earl Nightingale studied all of this information, Napoleon Hill's work and all of this stuff. And Earl was the first global personal development personality that was literally selling on the radio around the world. He really brought things into the modern era. And he helped build the Nightingale Conant Corporation, which was responsible for getting this information out in the masses, helping people all over the world better understand some very basic principles on how to achieve success. Now, again, guys, we define success as the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. So the worthy ideal is whatever you choose, but it's the progressive realization, the day-to-day realization of that, right? Success is first deciding what do you really want and then pursuing it until you achieve it, right? With no other options. Too many people today are just getting blown around in the wind like I was for 43 years, not making clear decisions on what they really want. And here it is again, right? Earl Nightingale was mentored and trained by the best in the world. And guys, bringing these sales principles into today is none other than my mentor, Bob Proctor, right? And I could do a whole webinar on Bob alone and the millions of people all over the world that he's really impacted, including myself. Bob has been studying the sciences of human performance and sales and wealth building for over 57 years. And he was mentored by Earl Nightingale, right? He studied all over the world with people at the highest levels of sales and psychology, even religion and science. And he continues to study and teach every single day at 84 years old. Right? So Bob has literally dedicated his life and loves to teach companies and individuals these life-changing sales principles. And he's really passed that on to me as well. It's really my passion teaching this stuff. And again, Bob's my mentor and friend and really literally changed everything in my world with this information. And here you go again, right? Bob Proctor, he was and still is trained by the best in the world, bringing it forward. So since I was exposed to these principles and became a student of the sciences of wealth and sales several years ago, everything has changed, right? As you've heard, I've been blessed to go from one revenue stream to over 10, and businesses are growing. And I was able to meet and marry the woman of my dreams and really live a beautiful life of heaven, right? I had to sell her on that one too, right? We're always selling. So I have family and friends all over the world, and more importantly, I get to live life on my own terms. I'm not an employee of anybody. We're Bob Proctor's top sales consultants in the world, and again, we're teaching these principles. So again, I don't say any of this to impress you. I just really want to impress upon you. I literally use these materials we're going to share to sell my way to the top in several companies. Right? So I'm really blessed and now being trained by the best in the world. All right, guys, so think about this, right? Henry Ford literally built the earth selling cars and his ideas and dreams with these principles and made a fortune that the next 5 generations of his family couldn't spend. Right? Henry Ford wasn't an inventor. He was a visionary. He was a professional salesman. And what he did is he sold his idea and his vision to many of the top engineers in the world about the first automobiles. Right? And guess what? It wasn't schooling or anything that traditional schools and colleges will teach you. Henry Ford only made it to the 6th grade before he had to drop out and go to work, making a living for his family. Now, the very foundation and environment that we grow up in is really broken and flawed when it comes to teaching this stuff. So guys, think about this. We could be at a business school. You know, how can a professor in a business school teaching sales, making $50,000 or $60,000 a year, teach anybody how to make $100,000 a week or more in sales? Think about this. Right? We can literally graduate from the best sales business schools in the country and have absolutely no idea how to really sell. Right? People can get all kinds of degrees and come out, lucky to break $50,000 in income from sales. So, I mean, it's no wonder why we have massive sales forces out there with absolutely no clue how to earn significant money selling. Quite honestly, guys, it's not even our fault, right? But now it is our responsibility to take action. Traditional sales programs simply don't educate on the sciences and shifting paradigms behind selling and how to do this stuff, right? Guys, I'm not here picking on teachers or school systems or other seminars. I have the highest respect for people that dedicate their life to teaching. The problem is they're, they're really handcuffed. They're doing the best they can with limited information in a broken system. And they're quite simply not taught how to understand other human beings at a subconscious level to be able to sell to them. You see, guys, there's only a fraction of 1% of the people in sales out there understand how to truly master the art of sales. And the secret is we get our education from other mentors like Bob, right? People who have studied and achieved the sales performance that we desire, and we follow a proven system. So guys, again, it's not even our fault when we find ourselves struggling financially or mentally or physically, at least up until now. You see, guys, there's a huge difference between ignorance and stupidity, right? I want you to write this one down too. Here's another fun-filled fact. Ignorance is not a negative term. Ignorance is simply just not knowing, right? I mean, we're born ignorant, right? But stupidity is knowing something and then not taking action on it. And guys, after tonight, we're no longer going to have the excuse of ignorance, right? We're going to have the start of a journey that could change everything for you and your family. All right, so we'll keep talking about the sciences of sales, but I mean, where's the proof, right? Maybe I just got lucky at age 43. Everything just started going my way. I started making quantum leaps by accident, right? Guys, success in sales is a system based on universal laws. And all we need to do is get educated in these universal laws, which govern our world, right? Now, honestly, there's only two choices. We can choose to study them and learn to work with them and get in harmony with them, or we can remain ignorant by default and work against them. So guys, why is this so important, studying this stuff? Right? Because if you're not deliberately creating new habits and working with these laws, these universal laws, especially in sales, then you are by default creating bad habits and working against them. There is no really happy medium. And over time, this becomes the way that you're programmed. Now, in life, everyone wants to do better and get better results, right? But most people give up because they simply don't know how, and they stop. They hit the how, and they literally freeze and stop. They stop thinking. These universal laws are not taught in schools, as we mentioned, and most people are just, quite honestly, just ignorant of them. And I'm going to give you an example that should prove that we don't know what we don't know about what's going on all around us. So guys, everyone is at least somewhat aware of the universal law of gravity, right? I mean, if you're standing on top of a building and take a step off the edge, the universal law of gravity is going to have a very severe effect on you, right? Now, whether you understand this or not, or believe in it or not, is completely irrelevant. Gravity doesn't care. If you ignore it and step off the building, you die, period, right? I mean, we can't see it, we can't explain it. Even the most erudite physicists can't explain gravity. They only have theories. But we all know gravity's there. We're all conditioned to work with it, right? Because as a baby or a child, as we're learning to walk, we've fallen over and we've learned to work with the universal law of gravity, right? We're in harmony with it. We can work with it to our benefit. Now, this is what can happen when human beings gain awareness and get in harmony with these universal laws, right? Take a look at the airline industry, working with the laws of gravity, being in harmony with the laws of gravity. I mean, just take a look at what we can do, right? We have 757 jets flying all over the world at over 600 miles an hour. I mean, think about this. I mean, does this make sense, guys? Type a one in the chat if this is making sense about getting in harmony with the invisible stuff that's all around us. Awesome, Karen, Janice, awesome. Great, guys. Glad you're with me paying attention here. So now, guys, there are many universal laws that are having an effect on us. Every single waking moment of our lives that we're simply never educated in. In fact, there are 7 fundamental universal laws and dozens of secondary laws. Right? We have the law of vibration, the universal law of vibration. Some people have heard of that. We have the law of cause and effect. We have the law of polarity, or what we call the law of opposites. We have the law of rhythms. The tide goes out and the tide comes in, right? There's a universal law of rhythms. Day follows night. We have the law of perpetual transmutation of energy, and that's a big one, a very important one. We have the universal law of gestation, and we also have the law of relativity. Some people have heard of that one. So guys, think about this, all these 7 laws that I just mentioned, and really ask yourself this. How much do you currently know about these 7 universal laws I just mentioned? Really think about this. Now, more importantly, what do you think is happening to you every single day that we remain ignorant of these laws? Now remember, if we ignore the universal law of gravity and step off a building, we die. I'm going to ask you again, what do you think is happening every single day that we remain ignorant of these other 7 universal laws? Right, guys, if you register for this webinar, what we're going to do, we're going to have a free, I was talking to Craig the other day, a free 3 or 4 part masterclass, really digging in deeper just into the 7 universal laws. So guys, type a 1 in the chat box if you'd be interested in a free class, like a 3 or 4 part masterclass, really digging into the universal laws, because we're not going to dig into those on this class here. Awesome, great. All right, sounds like there's a lot of good response. We'll make sure to get everybody's names and emails and send out those invites. All right, so let's keep moving here, guys. Let me just take a drink real quick. Awesome. So, guys, I want to introduce you to the word paradigm. And the word paradigm is not new. And here is Webster's definition of the word. So just go ahead and read this right off the chart here. All right, what it talks about, it says that a paradigm is basically a theoretical framework or a construct. Now, for our purposes, right, or for the purposes of this webinar, I'm going to give you a much more simple definition. I think a lot more clear. And a paradigm is a mental program that has almost exclusive control over our habitual behavior. So let me say that again. A paradigm is basically a mental program that has almost exclusive control over our habitual behavior. Now, you might be saying, who cares, right? Why is this so important? Guys, it is very important to understand what your paradigm is, because your paradigm controls most of your habits, right? And over 96% of our behaviors are habitual. Now, guys, if this doesn't make sense or you don't think I know what I'm talking about, I'm going to prove it again. I'm going to try and give you evidence to all the stuff we're talking about. Here's a good example. Just take a look at all the people smoking cigarettes in society, right? None of them like the habit. They certainly don't like wasting $10 a pack. Some people 100 or 200 bucks a week, right? And they definitely don't desire long-term emphysema and lung cancer. So again, really, really think about this now. Don't just hear the words. Let's think. Now, doctors are going to tell you it's a physical addiction, right? So we're kind of tricked into believing that. But guys, what controls the physical body? Think about that. What controls the physical body? It's the mind, right? So it's not a physical addiction, it's a mental addiction. It's from people that are not in control of their minds. Right? You see, most people are never taught how to form the habits of being wealthy or the habit of studying sales or improving their craft in sales, right? Including myself for 43 years. Guys, I'm not coming from a perch of being, any better than anybody else. I was completely ignorant of this stuff for the first 43 years of my life. So I'm a student just like you guys here. But what I want you to realize is forming the habits of becoming wealthy through sales are no different than forming the habits of smoking, right? One is just destructive and the other one is creative or constructive. It doesn't take any more thought energy to follow a destructive idea as it does a brilliant one. It's just a choice. So guys, write this one down too. Hopefully you got your notepads out. When you learn to understand this stuff and you learn to change paradigms, you can literally change everything, including your sales performance. So the big question that remains is, how do we change paradigms? But guys, I want you to really understand here, every single person that succeeds at the highest levels, right, are really in harmony with these universal laws and the sciences behind getting wealthy, especially in sales. But even top sports athletes like Michael Jordan use these principles. Now, the difference is Michael probably can't articulate what he's doing, but I guarantee he's using the same principles that we're talking about here today. Michael is what we call an unconscious competent. Maybe some of you out there know some people like this. They just are super achievers, but they can't teach you. They can't articulate it, right? Some people are just kind of born with this stuff in the DNA. Grant Cardone is an unconscious competent, right? Robert Kiyosaki, Brian Tracy, all top salespeople, all unconscious competent people that are trying to teach sales, but don't know how to change paradigms. Again, if they did, as I mentioned, you would just be able to take one of their programs and blow past 7 figures, right? Simple logic. If they were teaching how to change paradigms, you would literally just be able to take a Brian Tracy course and then tenfold your sales income. Does that make sense, guys? Now, I haven't found any science that can explain why some people are just born with this intuition. And I've asked Bob about it too, and he doesn't know about that either. But the one thing I can tell you for a fact is that it doesn't matter. Anyone who is coachable and hungry for change can really learn this stuff. I mean, Bob did it. I did it. My 22-year-old daughter's in the process of doing it. She's been studying with us for the past 2 years. And she said just in the past 6 months alone of studying has dwarfed all 16 years of her traditional education right through business college. Now, guys, the beautiful part of this is Bob has spent the last 58 years gathering all these sales principles for us. And we're able to teach anyone that is hungry and willing how to really learn and change anything or everything in your life. So guys, how great would it feel to have the information that could literally 10x your sales and impact your life, and more importantly, the lives of people around you? Go ahead and type a one in the chat box if you're really committed to learning how to take control and change everything. We got Craig, we got Ernesto, Braden, okay, Chris, awesome, Frank, Karen, everybody's chiming in. I'm super committed. I love that. I'm in. Awesome, guys. Well, I'm in too, and I'm committed to helping you guys with this stuff. So I'm going to give you just one more example of our environment or your paradigm, just to get you a little deeper into this before we get into the first sales building principle. Guys, I want you to role play with me here and close your eyes, and I really want you to do this. Nobody's looking. Go ahead and close your eyes and role play with me. I want you to just imagine, use your imagination, that however old you are, that you were born and you were Warren Buffett's son or daughter, right? And you're however old you are now, and you grew up with Warren, and he was mentoring you, teaching you, the art of business negotiation and investing, right? What do you think your life would be like today? And I want you to imagine if you spent your entire life growing up in that environment, right? Understanding the deepest levels of investing in finance, mergers and acquisitions. Where would you be right now? Where would you live? What would your net worth be? Right? You'd probably be super wealthy and really understand how to build wealth at the highest levels. It would have been programmed into your subconscious mind from birth, right? Go ahead and open up your minds, but just think about it a little bit. What we did here is I didn't change you or anything about you. All we did is we changed your environment. We put the idea in your mind about changing your environment, about getting wealthy. We can do the same thing for sales. Okay, so there are 12 fundamental lessons or principles of the super wealthy or the elite athlete or the world-class salesperson, right? It's all the same mindset. It's just applied to different careers. Now, guys, again, we're only going to go over 4 of these in depth, but what we go over can have a significant impact on your immediate future. So, guys, principle 1 is obviously goal setting, but not goal setting like you've probably been taught. You see, we've been really programmed to set goals that we think we can achieve, especially in sales. And we do this really because of the fear of failure or the fear of not achieving our goals. We set the goal of maybe losing 5 pounds because we know we can probably do that, right? It's very rare that we set the goal of becoming a professional fitness model or getting to a level of fitness that would be worthy of being on a magazine cover. We do this in sales as well. We set a goal of growing 5 or 10%, or maybe we stretch to 20%, right? But most of us would never think of setting a goal of growing 1,000% in 12 months, 10xing your performance. I mean, honestly, how would we do that, right? You guys see how this works? We get stuck on the how. When we think of setting massive visionary goals, we immediately think, how am I going to do that? And then we stop thinking and we go back to the daily trivia of our lives. We just stop. We hit a barrier, right? Does this sound familiar, guys? Right? It's because we've never done it before, and society tells us that it's absurd or crazy, right? We've never been taught what the purpose of a goal is. And really, this is a fundamental flaw in our current educational system. And it's also why one of the first things we teach. So guys, the purpose of a goal is to grow and stretch and improve your level of awareness in sales and wealth building, or whatever your career is, but in this case, it's wealth building, right? So guys, if you're in sales, I want you to just close your eyes again and think about this one thing, a couple of things. What is your current goal for 2018? And then is it written down, right? Is it plastered everywhere? Is it 10 times bigger than last year? Or is it just a weak 10 or 20% more than last year? Because guys, here's the beautiful truth. If you can't think it, then you will never have it. This is one of the most profound things that I really learned. Everything starts with a desire and a thought of what you want, right? I mean, think about this. Do you know people in your same industry that are making 10x of what you do? They might even be in your same, if you're employed, they might even be in your same company, right? And what do you think the difference is? Guys, part of the difference is visionaries set goals that are so big that most people say that's impossible. They use the word impossible. And entrepreneurs rarely, if ever, hit their goals. Now, really think about that one. Right? When I started working with Bob, I set a goal of becoming the top sales consultant in PGI history and activating 1,000 clients in 12 months and achieving the diamond pin of excellence in sales in the first 12 months. And I was new to this, right? Now, guys, I have 4 other core businesses and over 10 revenue streams. So keep in mind that this was going to be a very part-time effort. And the top performing consultants in PGI are all full-time, right? Guys, I had no business whatsoever setting a goal like this. Now, honestly, I really felt like I was lying to myself. But I said to myself, self, I'm just going to be open-minded. I'm going to be coachable, and I'm going to trust the process. And I diligently followed the other parts of this system in the sales coaching and the Thinking the Results program. Well, because I was now thinking top consultant in the world, I was thinking 1,000 clients, I was thinking diamond pin, it really started to shift my thinking. And I said to myself, I'm not going to get there part-time by selling myself, right? By selling by myself. I really need to scale and leverage and duplicate and use mastermind principles, which is lesson 12 in our program. And then, guys, what happened is my mind continued to shift, right? And then an idea came to me from wherever ideas come from, right? We could talk about that some other time. The idea came, I need to leverage and build a sales team. Now, guys, this isn't magic or smoke and mirrors. This is the science. This is the understanding and really getting in harmony with these laws, right? And as soon as I shifted my thinking, I started really feeling and taking action like the top consultant in the world would. I really started thinking like Bob would. And my vibration and my frequency of thought shifted to a higher level. And this is where the information of how to be the top performing consultant really lives, right? It lives in a higher frequency than I was thinking. And guys, within the first month, we set the record for sales as a new consultant, right? We broke the record. And not that it was a competition, we didn't even know it, right? And that was just the beginning. Over the next 18 months, we literally broke every sales record. We achieved the gold pin of excellence for sales. We were the first consultants in the history of PGI to be awarded that gold pin. Now, if you remember in the beginning of the story, if you think about this, we're taking notes, right? My goal was to hit 1,000 clients and to get the diamond pin, right? Well, by current day thinking, I literally failed to hit my goal. Think about that, right? Remember what I said about visionaries, rarely, if ever, hitting their goals because they're so massive. Guys, the other part of that sentence states that even when a visionary or an entrepreneur fails or falls short, it's usually hundreds of times more successful than the average person is even thinking or is even dreaming of. I mean, we literally failed and hit the gold pin, something that no one else has ever done in the company. You guys start to see how this works, these principles? The whole purpose of a goal is to go after something so big that you have no idea how to do, that causes you to grow and get out of your comfort zone and really develop a passion for life again. And guys, what we need to realize is it takes no more mental energy to go after a massive goal as it does a tiny one, right? The subconscious mind does not know the difference. And this is really a fundamental flaw in goal setting that we're all taught in school and other trainings or by our parents in society. But this is absolutely not the way that the world's most successful salespeople think. So guys, how many of you would truly like to increase your sales and your income by 1,000% in 12 months? I mean, honestly, right? But even as I speak about this, I can feel you saying to yourselves, well, I can never do that. Brian can do that, but not me. Bob can do that. I don't know how to do that. Well, guys, why not you? That's the question, right? As I said, it doesn't take any more thought energy to go after a massive goal than it does to go over a small goal. Subconscious mind does not know the difference. The big question really here is, how many of you committed to learning this material, being coachable and changing your sales performance? Guys, again, type a one in the chat box if you're really committed to learning how to quantum leap your sales. Good, lots of ones being typed in, awesome. I can see a lot of committed people in this webinar, so this is really good feedback. Now guys, this material can be applied to anything. I mean, this is a sales webinar, but here's a free tip for all of you that maybe say you're looking to lose weight, right? You might want to write this one down. If your goal is to lose 5 or 10 pounds or even 20 or 40 pounds, and you've been yo-yoing up and down for the last 10 years, guys, think about this. What happens with things we lose, right? What happens with things we lose? We try to find them, right? The subconscious mind doesn't know the difference, and it will keep trying to find the weight back because you keep telling yourself you're trying to lose 5 pounds. Now, guys, you don't have to take my word on this stuff. There's a lot of science behind this. We've been studying for a long time, and it's the same thing for debt, right? If you're setting goals to get out of debt, that's the worst possible goal you can set. And I can prove this one too. Guys, if you're thinking debt, you will attract and stay in debt. And if you doubt this, just check your results. And this will be kind of a funny one. Type a 1 in the box, right, in the chat box, if you've ever set a goal to get out of debt. See how many people have set that goal. So Brandy, Vartan, Craig, Karen, Aaron, almost there. I've done it. I'm full disclosure, right? I've done it. And now ask yourselves this: are you still in debt? Right? The results don't lie. And you see how this works. So guys, if we're setting a goal to get to 100,000 or $500,000 or $1 million in sales, and we get there, what happens to the debt? It goes away quite naturally, right? The idea is to focus on what you're not focus on what you don't want. I mean, if we're cold, we don't work with ice cubes and fire to get warm, right? We don't work with cold things like snow and ice and air conditioning. We only work with warm things like fire and heat and electrical heat, right? So just think about that. We only work with the things that we want to get the results. And that puts us in harmony with the law of cause and effect, right? I mean, this is fun stuff, guys. This is not rocket science. All right, guys, the next sales principle is called the knowing doing gap. And this is where most of our clients make the biggest, quickest, and most impactful gain. This was the big one for me. It doesn't take long, right? Again, how many of you gone on a diet, right? And you found yourself at a restaurant or a party or a cookout, and the dessert tray comes by, and you see the piece of cheesecake, and you're on a diet, but you've already decided you want to lose weight, right? But you reach out and grab the cheesecake anyway, and down the hatch it goes. I mean, I've done this before, again, in full disclosure, right? So we don't want the effect of eating the cheesecake and gaining the weight, right? And we know it's not good for us, but we eat it anyway. And this is really where the breakdown occurs. But why do we do this? Right? This is a fundamental question that most people can't answer. Most people in sales actually know what they should be doing. They simply just don't do it. Right? Just think about that. Ponder on that a little bit. Guys, this is all around us every day, right? You could walk into sales departments in any company in the world and find individuals doing activities that are not producing good results, right? They're producing results they don't want. They're producing poor sales. And we see people even that are grossly overweight that want to lose weight, yet they continuously choose to eat food every single day that packs on more and more weight. It's a knowing doing gap, right? We find people smoking, as I mentioned, who would absolutely love to stop. But every time you look, they're lighting up another cigarette. This is psychological. This is subconscious. These are not physical things, right? And we see people desperately want to get wealthy and improve their lives financially, going to the same dead-end job day after day and not taking action to learn and invest in themselves in some of these sales principles to get ahead, right? So, I mean, guys, what if you knew the science behind why this mental, physical breakdown occurs, and you could correct it within minutes of understanding it? Think about that. What if you knew the science is behind this? How would this one sales principle alone of closing the knowing doing gap change your life? Right? We have so many things in life that we should be doing, and yet we still don't do them. And again, the fundamental problem is we're not taught how our subconscious mind controls this knowing doing gap. Guys, once you fix this one thing, everything changes. Right? So, I mean, how many of you have had a job that you don't like? And you don't have to type in the box on this one. Just ask yourselves, or a business that isn't allowing you to live the life you want to live. Right? Well, why would we do that? At least for a long period of time. It's one thing if you're in transition, but why would we consciously do that? I mean, a person who is thinking would never go to a job that they hate every single day, right? And if we pull ourselves outside ourselves and look inwards objectively, that's what we got to do. And I don't mean this in a negative way, guys. I've been at jobs that I didn't like, and I was still going for years, right? I wasn't taught. We're simply not taught how to think in school either, right? A thinking person first asks themselves, what do I love to do? That's the first question. A thinking person will ask themselves, what do I love to do? Then they get really, really good at it. And they provide those services to many, many people, right? Service to many leads to greatness. And they become millionaires as a side effect of doing what they love, right? Now, this is fundamentally true in sales. You have to be in love with sales and helping people. If you're not in love with sales, you're in the wrong profession. It's almost impossible to achieve at a high level if you don't love impacting people's lives, right? Sales is not something you do to people. It's something you do for people. You just need to get behind a quality service or product that you're really passionate about. Let's say that you're in real estate, right? And you know that your growth depends on selling 7-figure homes so you can get to a 7-figure salary, right? Here's an example of a knowing, doing gap. But you're currently selling homes between 200 to 500,000. But you know that all the 7-figure earners are selling multi-million-dollar homes, right? How long are you going to choose to keep selling the $200,000 to $500,000 homes, right? This is a perfect example of the knowing, doing gap. We know what to do. We see other people doing it, but we just keep doing the same stuff. Now, guys, this is where I was stuck in my construction career. I had to make the decision to stop taking $200,000 to $500,000 projects so I could create a void in my business so that I could allow the $5 to $10 million jobs to come in. Does that make sense, guys? You have to create that void. We have to stop doing what we know doesn't work and start doing or reaching towards what we know does work. So really think about this, right? The biggest reason people stay stuck is because they don't understand these principles. They say, how can I stop selling lower ticket items and things they don't want to sell when I need to pay my bills, right? So they stop thinking and they stay stuck in the smaller commissions, right? While the thinking people, the high income earners, they get the multi-million-dollar contracts and commissions from a different way of thinking. So guys, type a 1 in the chat box. And if you're in a sales position, if you don't like or don't love, if you're in a position that you don't like, just want to see who might be stuck out there. Craig, we got multiple ones there. Matt Payne, awesome. Craig, Trevor, one of my roles, yes, Craig. I know you're in multiple roles. Karen, great. Yeah, so I mean, I was the same way, guys. I'm still currently doing some things that I don't love, but I am in the process of getting rid of them. That's the difference, right? So I'm not suggesting that you instantly drop everything. I'm suggesting we take an objective look and take steps towards improving our lives in a short period of time, right? And I really appreciate the honesty, guys. The truth is, guys, most people in the world are not doing what they really dream of doing for a living. And here we're going to change that. Right, at the end of the webinar, we're going to give you guys the opportunity to possibly work with us on a part-time or full-time basis, selling high-ticket consulting and training all over the world with no territory boundaries, no caps on commissions, and really unlimited potential as we grow internationally as Bob's top consultants worldwide. All right, guys, so this brings us to, I think, one of the most important principles for salespeople in particular. And this is really the subconscious self-image lesson. But guys, what is your self-image? I think we've heard of this before. I'm sure you have, right? Or, do you even have one, right? This is one way to check. Can you clearly articulate to somebody without feeling embarrassed what your self-image is? Think about that one. Can you comfortably, clearly articulate what your goal is, your future goal, your new self-image is without feeling embarrassed? That's the difference, right? I mean, I've literally crafted this self-image of a self-made billionaire, and I've told the world about it. Anybody that knows me knows this. And the furthest thing from embarrassed, right? In my mind, I'm already there because that's exactly where I'm heading, right? I don't say that to brag. It's just I understand these principles, and I've created that image in my mind about where I'm going. Same thing Bob did, same thing Earl, and all the people we showed before. Henry Ford, right? Again, people that know me wouldn't even question it, but it wasn't always like that, right? People used to look at me like I was completely off my rocker, right? When I only had my one construction company. But I knew through studying this material and the principles that I absolutely must have the self-image of a billionaire long before it will ever manifest through the universal law of the perpetual transmutation of energy. And I know it's a mouthful, but we have to hold it in our minds in such a clear way before we can ever hold it in our hand. And guys, this is the main reason why salespeople don't achieve at the 7-figure levels and why the masses in general fail to ever accomplish anything of significance in life, right? We literally have to think and act and see ourselves as already having achieved and obtained these goals. There's no other way known to man to do this. that I've come across anyway. We have to see it in the mind every single waking moment as already having been achieved. It's called the actor's technique, right? Now, guys, this all may sound silly or crazy to most of you, but think about this. And I really want you to think here. Don't just listen to the webinar. If 97% of the people that you know, right, in the masses, in the population, are going in the wrong direction in life, and they cannot teach you how to get where you want to go, then of course this information is going to sound silly and foreign and strange, right? We're surrounded by misinformation. Matter of fact, everything we say here should sound contrary to what most people are telling you. If only 1% of the top salespeople are succeeding at the 7-figure level. Just think about that, right? This should sound silly. So guys, fast forward, right? Just 3 short years. I mean, we have over 10 businesses and revenue streams, right? The top sales performer because I didn't listen to everybody else. And again, how does this happen? It happened because I made the clear decision, the desire, the decision to seek export mentorship and coaching, right? And to follow a proven system, these principles and these sciences behind sales. And same thing Henry Ford did, right? Made him one of the wealthiest people in the world with a 6th grade education. So guys, self-image is the driving image of your future self. That the beautiful truth is that version already exists, right? That time is the only variable here. And once you get your hands around this, you understand that that future version of yourself, that 7-figure earner or whatever you want to achieve, it already exists. The only variable is time. And all we need to do is learn how to build this future self-image so crystally clear in our subconscious of what we want our lives to look like. But again, how do we do this is the question, right? And again, there's a book by Stella Adler called The Art of Acting. I'd recommend to get it. It talks about this stuff. The book will teach you how the ultra successful, the elite sales professionals literally act the part of what they're trying to achieve. I mean, Bob does this. Like, Bob is an introvert. But when you see him selling on stage, he's booming. He's really acting, right? So if you're a realtor and you desire to achieve the 7-figure rank, you must act and think like a 7-figure earner long before you ever become a 7-figure earner. If you're a contractor or builder like I was, and you must act and think of running a $10 million company long before you hold in your hand, right? For me, I had to visualize, right, and become Bob's top consultant in my mind long before it ever materialized. And everybody I talked to thought I was crazy, right? When we first started that about 1.5 years ago, everybody thought I was crazy, right? Part-time, we're going to do that, which is exactly how I knew that I was on the right track, right? Everyone thought I was crazy. They told me my thinking was sound. It was logical. Anyone can do this, right? If I can do it, you can do it. Is this starting to make sense to you guys? Type 1 in the chat box if this is resonating about how the information we have is really so flawed. Awesome, great guys. A lot of ones in there. So yeah, that's how I felt about it too. When I came across this stuff, I was really shocked and staggered at how little I knew about anything, right? So guys, the 4th principle we're going to go over here today, I'm going to leave you with is principle 7. And I think this is probably the single biggest principle that people are ignorant about. And again, ignorance is not a bad term. It's just not knowing. And this really stops people dead in their tracks when they try to break out of their comfort zone and into a wealth-conscious sales mindset. Right? This is understanding and overcoming fear and procrastination. And guys, we've all felt this. I know we have, right? We get an idea in our head for a new business idea or to start selling higher ticket items or in a different company, right? Or even to ask out that person who's way out of our league on a date. I mean, this applies to everything. And what happens is we really start to think and fantasize about doing whatever this new idea is. And in our minds, we start asking, well, how am I going to do that? Right? I've never done that before. I can't do that. What if I fail? All these things, right? And what happens, guys, because we don't have the answer, we stop thinking. It goes back to the knowing doing gap. And then we forget the idea and we go back into what we call bondage. We just keep doing the trivial little things day after day after day. We go back into that bondage. So guys, if you take a look at this chart right here, if you study this chart, you can see when we operate from a fear-based negative thinking, right? And this is on the left-hand side if you're following along, that your conscious mind thinks of doubt and worry most of the time. What if I fail? What will my friends and family think when I make this big shift? I've never done this before. Guys, we literally paint a picture of failure without ever even taking a step. I know I've done this before. Guys, listen to this one. and I want you to really listen and write this one down. This was very profound when Bob said this one time at a seminar. Bob said, worrying is like praying for what you don't want. Think about that one. Worrying is just like praying for what you don't want. Now, guys, in this image, doubt and worry is suppressed into your subconscious mind, and it produces a false, invisible feeling of fear, which produces procrastination, right? Then, if you follow the chart, fear is further suppressed into the body, and it forms the physical feeling of anxiety. Right? Has anybody here ever felt anxiety? Type a 1 in the chat if you've ever felt this way, if this resonates with you. Right? A lot of ones. I think I can't imagine anybody hasn't felt anxiety, right? Some people process it differently. And guys, if this death spiral continues long enough, this anxiety is suppressed into the physical body long enough, what it does is it forms into depression. And if we keep going, right, depression will eventually suppress into dis-ease. And guys, you always want to hyphenate that word, dis-ease. Right? Disease is the body not at ease and not responding to a negative environment and broken paradigms. Right? We want to be at ease and master the art of sales and master the art of remaining calm. Guys, this is the way most people are programmed, including myself for 43 years, through their paradigm, right, on the left side of the picture. I'm sure when you go to work tomorrow, you're just going to hear these paradigms almost everywhere you go. It might even be some of your spouses, right, people that we love. And again, guys, it's not even their fault. We all grow up in this construct, this society, right, with TV and news and all this negativity, right? So, guys, what we've illustrated on the left side here is really the negative side of the mind-body connection. And Bob calls this a self-fulfilling doom prophecy because we can control all this stuff. So let's take a look at the way successful salespeople think, right? They get a new sales idea. Maybe it's to grow a sales team under them and leverage, or maybe it's here today to join our international team at the Matrix, right? An idea like that, to leave your current position and come work with us, right? And successful people instantly think, right away, they go, hell yes, I can do that. I mean, I can do anything I put my mind to. Right? I have no idea how I'm going to do it, but I'll figure it out. I'll say yes, I'll tell the world, and I'll figure it out. That's the mindset of a successful person, right? Because they don't have to know how. It doesn't matter. It'll come to us, right? Now, everybody around them still thinks they're crazy for this new idea, right? I mean, think about this. I was told, I'm going to be the top consultant in the world my first year, part-time. Think about how crazy that sounded, right? But remember, 1% of the population earns 96% of all the money in the world. So it's actually very good feedback if most of the people in your circle, unless you're in a circle like mine where it's like-minded people, think you've mentally fallen off your rocker, right? We don't want to follow those people. Now really start to think about this, because by default, this means that 96% of the people that you're going to take advice from, they're going to give you advice, have absolutely no clue on what they're talking about. No idea whatsoever on how to generate wealth through sales. Guys, even the highest traditionally educated people with master's degrees and PhDs in sales can have absolutely no idea how to build wealth and be a professional salesperson, really create that life of freedom, right? People can go through 20 years of school and get degrees in economics and have no idea how to build true wealth, all right? So, all right, let's get back to the charts. I digress here. Now, this person on the right side, or what we call the positive side of the illustration, is really operating from a positive, faith-based mindset. They gain knowledge through study and coaching and investing in themselves. Things like this webinar, right? Now, guys, knowledge is the opposite of ignorance. They're both opposite sides of the same exact thing. So all we need to do is get understanding, right? And how we get understanding is through study, just like tonight's webinar. And with understanding comes confidence, right? And then with confidence comes a faith-based mindset, right? At ease, really calm, mastering this stuff. So instead of fear and procrastination, they have faith and action. So fear and faith are opposite sides of the same thing. They're both invisible, intangible things, right? Procrastination and action, opposite sides of the same thing, right? And everything we're showing you here is all opposite sides of the same coin. Faith versus fear. You got to choose which one are you going to consciously choose to feed, right? Both faith and fear are invisible, intangible thought vibrations in your mind and your body. They only exist in your mind. There's no reality. There's no physical reality to them except what we make. But either way, guys, every single day you're choosing to feed faith or fear every waking moment. 100% your choice. Now, guys, you may have been ignorant of this before, like I was before this webinar, but not anymore. And this slide alone should give you something you can really take away, really give you the impression of increase. And if you wake up tomorrow and you have anxiety and you have fear, then you need to realize that this is what you're choosing to feed, and you need to get it out of your head. I'm not saying it's not going to come into your head for a little while, but you just need to recognize it and replace it with abundance and gratitude, right? Things that are positive mental images. So guys, action versus procrastination, right? I mean, the only way I can say this is procrastination really equals the death of a soul. I don't know how to, we can't cure procrastination. Time is our most precious resource, guys. If we waste it, then we really deserve to fail, in my opinion. Right? If we're coming home every single night and plopping down in front of the TV, making other entrepreneurs rich, that's what we're doing, right? We got to ask ourselves, do we really deserve to win at a 7-figure level? Right? The people that we watch on TV, they sacrificed and studied and followed the same principles to get where they are, and now we're watching them. Think about that. So you see here that really the person on the right side of this chart takes a faith-based action to produce acceleration, or what we call results. So if you fall on this right side, it's just the path to results. Leading with knowledge and study and faith, action, right, leads to results. And this mind and this body are what we call at ease, the opposite of dis-ease, right? And as I mentioned, guys, both fear and faith are invisible thoughts. They're both choices. So you literally have to choose fear over faith. I want this to stick in your head. Now let's think about this. Again, if you're a thinking person, why on earth would you choose fear? Think about that. Now, guys, I found this picture on the internet. Here's a real good image of what it looks like to always be worrying. Right? Take a look at this guy. How can we ever master the art of sales and master the art of remaining calm and confident to get into a creative state when we run around looking like this, right? Fear, doubt, lack, and worry. Guys, here's a breakdown of all the things that most people worry. This is the time that people worry about things in life, right? 40% of what we spend time worrying about, it never happens. And I know we're all guilty of that, right? 30% of what we worry about is in the past, and we just keep reliving it. Think about that one. We worry about things that we literally can't change. I mean, when you remove yourself from yourself and look at that, it's just silly, right? 12% of what we worry about, guys, are health issues that never happen. People worry about getting sick. They worry about this stuff, and then they wonder why it happens, right? 10% of what we worry about are just miscellaneous trivial things that have no meaning whatsoever, like whether or not we're going to be on time or not. Now, it's good to be on time, but if we're missing an appointment and we're going to be late, we're going to be late. Why would you choose to worry about it? It's not going to change the fact we're going to be late. You guys see how simple this stuff is, but we all do this stuff. Now, guys, this means that only 8% of the time that we are worrying are things we actually need to worry about. Right? Like things on my construction site, if I have a client, things that I need to worry about and focus attention. When I say worry, I just mean give attention to. Now, guys, the beautiful truth is that almost 8%, right, out of all of that, we can control almost all of it, right? We can change it. Things like your income and your health and your relationships. We can control most of that 8%. And it's 100% our choice to earn what we earn. Right, so guys, if you're not satisfied with your earning, then all we need to do is make a decision to raise our level of awareness and to change our income. It's not our spouse, it's not our level of education or anything else. It's not where we grew up, right? But it's our level of awareness on earning money through sales that we need to change. So guys, think about this too. Why are we so hung up on what people think? Right? We get so hung up that we never proclaim for ourselves what we want for fear of criticism. Guys, I mean, honestly, who gives a shit what people think? It's what do you want? That's the question we want to ask. And it's really the only question that's worth asking. Now, guys, this is what faith looks like, right? If you want to know what the opposite side of that last picture is, fear, this is what faith looks like. People who understand feeding faith versus feeding fear quite simply change the world. Right? The rest of the masses live in fear and they never break out, and they impact no one and no thing. But what I want everyone to realize here tonight is 100% a choice, and it's 100% changeable. Right, guys? If I can do it, you can do it. Now, guys, I'm not saying you have to be Steve Jobs or Bill Gates to change the world, What I'm suggesting is to be the Steve Jobs of your family, right? Or be the Steve Jobs of your work or your church, right? Or be the guy who creates the Little League for his son where there was none. Or the mom who's also the breadwinner because you want to, right? Or whatever moves you, right? But we all need to stop thinking from a lack and a fear-based mindset, right? And by the way, every one of these guys is a world-class salesman and uses these principles. You probably never thought of them that way, but these are visionaries that just sold their idea to millions and billions of people, right? So this is how powerful sales is. All right, guys, we're coming to the end of the time here tonight, and I sincerely appreciate you sticking around for the webinar. And as I promised, I'm going to send you the free gift for watching the webinar all the way to the end. We're going to email you guys this ebook that I wrote called The 12 Principles to Scaling a Business. And I wrote it for you to really give you a deeper look at what we covered here today. It's more of a business point of view, but it is all 12 principles. And again, guys, I really want to leave you better off than I found it with the impression of increase. If you are serious about wanting to make long-lasting quantum leap changes, or if you're serious about shifting your paradigm in sales, or if you want to talk to us about the possibility of working with our international sales team of world-class salespeople, you can book a phone call with us to chat about your sales performance or whatever you're feeling stuck in or what's holding you back. Some of the things that you think are blocks to becoming a seven-figure salesperson. As I said, we're gonna give free strategy sessions to anybody that's on this webinar. So, guys, you can book right to our calendar here at meetme.so.JennyLynnLaurent, right? That's one way. Another way is meetme.so/matrix strategy session. Right, so meetme.so/matrix strategy session. So there's a couple of ways to look at that. And you can also get with the person that brought you to this webinar, and they can get in contact with us too. So like I said, guys, this is our passion. I want you to be successful. So we're really happy to get on a call with you to see if it's a fit to work together, quantum leaping your sales skills and effectiveness with these principles. Now, the downside, guys, is that we do have a limited amount of people that we can work with. So if any of this has resonated with you, I would say don't wait. Book a call tonight, book a strategy session tonight. And guys, when you book through our calendar, there's a short list of questions to fill out so we can cut right to the chase together. And it's just going to help dial it in so we can really focus on what's ailing you. And as I mentioned, I'm going to send you a recording of this webinar, so hopefully you can share it with friends and family and colleagues. And guys, I know we can make some breakthroughs on these calls if you're serious about taking things to the next level. And quite honestly, it's going to take an outsider's perspective to highlight the blind spots that you're facing, to show you what you're missing, right? And to really show you how to get where you want to go in your business and your life. And guys, Albert Einstein has a famous quote, right? He says, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, right? So what are you going to do this year that's different than the past 10 years to raise your level of awareness in selling and wealth building, right? So if the answer is no thing or nothing, then do you really expect things to change, right? That would be the definition of insanity. So guys, if you're serious about taking a step, making a change, I really encourage you to get in touch with us. And again, we only scratch the surface of this material. And we'd love to speak with you and see if we can't figure out a few things over a call. I put up this little picture here. Excuse me. This picture here is really a cute little picture, but it illustrates a fundamental point. When we're first learning to walk, right, we need mentors, your parents, right? They mimic walking. They hold our hands. They praise us when we do good, and they pick us up when we fall, right? So guys, imagine if you were a baby, or when you were a baby, that your parents just handed you a book on walking, right? Or sent you to a one-day seminar on walking. I mean, you would have literally just as likely eaten the book and fallen asleep at the seminar, right? Think about that. And same with grade school. We needed teachers or mentors to guide us through the books and lessons. Imagine if your first day in kindergarten, they just piled up 12 years of books and said, have at it, kid, right? So think about this. If we needed mentors for such simple tasks as walking in grade school and learning simple things, why on earth would we think that we could get to 7 figures in sales without a mentor? Right? I certainly couldn't. Bob couldn't. I don't think anybody ever has. Right? And really, in my opinion, guys, there's only 2 real decisions here. Right? You can choose to stay stuck and try to figure it out on your own, or you can book a call with us and let us help guide you. But I want to be clear, either way, you're making a decision, right, guys? Think about that. It's all about decisions. So don't procrastinate. Certainly don't be nervous. Click on that link and book a call, and I'll post it up again here in a second. I think you guys can tell that we're really passionate about coaching this material. We love giving back. I love helping people. We take your dreams and success very, very seriously. Now, again, as I mentioned, we're currently Bob Proctor's top consultants worldwide, and we work with people all over the world just like you. And being his top consultant should really illustrate our level of commitment, right? When I made the decision to do something radically different and study with Bob, really created a quantum leap in everything. But imagine if I hesitated, right? I wouldn't have met Jenny. I'd still be stuck remodeling instead of building multi-million-dollar homes and having all these other revenue streams, right? Guys, I wouldn't have the most rewarding feeling in life of teaching and coaching others, which has become really my life's richest reward. So one last thing, guys, before we go, we've worked very hard to be Bob's top consultant. And again, I don't say this to impress you. I just want to impress upon you that we understand these principles. We can teach these principles at a very, very deep level, and we live and breathe them. So guys, here's Bob Proctor with just a few kind words about Jenny and I. So just so you know a little bit more about who we are and how we work with them.
Hello there and welcome. I'm Bob Proctor. Do you know, it's a real pleasure for me to be working with both Brian and Jenny. They're going to do a phenomenal job with our organization. For over 50 years now, I have worked all over the world helping people draw the most out of themselves. You know, you and I have deep reservoirs of talent and ability within us, and I think it's our obligation to bring it to the surface and apply it to whatever we're doing. Unfortunately, a lot of people have blocks. Those blocks are paradigms. It's conditioning. It's both genetic and environmental. And it's a rather sad thing, but some people go all the way through their life. They know they can do better, but they're not doing it. Our company has put together a phenomenal program. It's called Thinking into Results. And we're really pleased to have both Brian and Jenny working with us on this program because it's a coaching development program like no other. We're very proud of it here at the Proctor Gallagher Institute, and we're also proud to have Brian and Jenny working with us on this. So I want you to sit down with them and give them the opportunity to explain to you exactly how this program works. It's like unadulterated magic. It really is like that. Your perception of your life and how you're living it is going to shift. You're going to start to see why you've been held back and why you're not going ahead. Like without any formal education, I had 2 months high school. I built a company that operated all over the world, earned millions of dollars. And it puzzled me, how did this happen? I didn't think I was lucky. I did not believe that there was an emotional or capricious God that reached out and said, let's give Bob a turn. But my life changed, and it changed dramatically. And I had to figure out why. And I've spent my entire adult life putting that answer together. And we've got it in Thinking into Results. So you sit down with either Brian or Jenny and help them show you just what this program can do for you. I'll tell you one thing. If you tell them what you want, they're going to show you how to get it. This is Bob Proctor, and thank you.